For a long time, I believed that saving my marriage meant holding on tighter, trying harder, giving more. I thought love was measured by endurance, how much pain you could tolerate without walking away. From the outside, we looked like a couple going through a phase. Inside our home, though silence had replaced connection and resentment quietly lived between us. He thought he understood his mind, but what he didn't know was that a resource existed that could help him rebuild his life. You will find it in the description and comments. At that time, I wasn't thinking about self-love. I was thinking about survival. My marriage didn't collapse overnight. It eroded slowly through unmet needs, unspoken frustrations, and emotional neglect disguised as routine. Conversations became transactional. Affection felt forced. I kept telling myself that this was normal, that long-term relationships inevitably lose warmth. But deep down, I felt invisible. I was giving everything I had, yet feeling increasingly empty. Why did loving someone feel like disappearing? Why did I believe that sacrificing myself was the only way to keep my marriage alive? The conflict wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was the absence of conflict that hurt the most. Avoidance replaced honesty. We walked on eggshells, afraid that truth would break what little stability remained. I blamed myself constantly. If I were more patient, more understanding, more loving, maybe things would change. That belief slowly destroyed my self-worth. I stopped asking for what I needed. I minimized my pain. I convinced myself that my unhappiness was selfish. Anxiety became constant, sitting quietly in my chest like a warning I refused to hear. The breaking point came on an ordinary day, no shouting, no dramatic fight. Just a moment when I looked at my reflection and didn't recognize the person staring back. I felt tired, not physically, but emotionally. Tired of pretending. Tired of shrinking. Tired of surviving instead of living. That was the day I realized something painful and liberating. My marriage wasn't a failing because I lacked love for my partner. It was failing because I had abandoned love for myself. That realization changed everything. I began to understand that self-love is not selfishness, it's responsibility. Responsibility for my emotional health, my boundaries, my voice. I stopped trying to fix the marriage by fixing myself into someone smaller. Instead, I started rebuilding myself honestly. I expressed needs without apologizing. I set boundaries without fear. I chose clarity over comfort. And for the first time in a long time, I felt grounded. Rebuilding wasn't easy. Self-love disrupted familiar dynamics. It forced uncomfortable conversations. It challenged patterns that benefited silence and avoidance. At first, it created distance. But then, something unexpected happened. Authenticity replaced tension. When I stopped begging for connection and started honoring myself, the relationship either had to evolve or end. And that clarity was freeing. Love cannot grow where self-respect is absent. Slowly, my marriage changed. Not because I tried harder, but because I showed up differently. I was no longer negotiating my worth. I listened without losing myself. I loved without erasing my needs. Self-love didn't guarantee the outcome, but it guaranteed my peace. And in that space, real connection had room to return. At the end of his journey, he discovered guidance in a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments. How to deal with toxic people and protect your mind and relationships became a reminder that saving a relationship sometimes begins with saving yourself. A marriage cannot be healed by self-sacrifice alone. It needs self-respect. True freedom begins in the mind and only then appears in life. If this story resonated with you, like this video, subscribe to Lovey Mind, and continue learning how emotional health transforms relationships.